You asked me that yesterday, and I said, I don't know who's going to be on this call. I have a number of things that I think would be valuable, but I think it depends a little bit on what our participation looks like and who's here and what value we can drop. Um, Let me ask just from the audience here, what's on your mind right now? Like maybe throw it in the chat or just shout it out. What's your burning desire? What do you need to learn? What do you need to do? I'll give you guys a 30-second overview. I've been in the business since 2006. I was licensed in 2006. I came to KW in 2007 when we were a infant market center, brand new, just born. In 2000, by 2011, I was the number one solo agent in the office. Got an assistant, and then have been really running a team since about 2010 or 2011, 2012, which looks and feels a lot like a traditional team model, right? At the moment, we have about 25 full-time agents on the team. We have consistently done between 400 and 600 units over the last 5 years. So our team is like we're a pretty productive group. You can quickly assess the thing that I prioritize, which is per agent production. I actually don't think any other number matters. I think the only thing that matters is whether or not we're waking up every day and putting houses under contract. Every other thing is a lot of noise. You'll find I'm a pretty straight shot. I don't beat around the bush when it comes to like what you need to do. I definitely don't buy into a lot of the sizzle and glitz and glam of the industry. We focus on the things that matter. I think that's what's been able to put us in that top level production pretty consistently. So what's on your mind, guys? What's going on out there? What do you want to hear? What do you want to know? What are you struggling with? Let's get a little chat list going. I do have I do have sort of some slides I can go through, but like a lot of the stuff that I can present to you is about leadership, about running a team. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What are you struggling with? You've got me. Take it away. Janine, you've asked for the most effective use of open houses from the perspective of reaching those not working with agents and getting feedback as to why others are not putting in offers. I love that. Janine, why do you ask that question?
Oh, just because I did a couple house open houses.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. How often do you do them?
Uh, well, it's the spring season, so every week now.
Yeah, it's amazing. So my business was built on open houses and business to business networking. When people ask me how did I get started and what did I do, it was those two things. If there were two things that I focused on, it was number one, I was going to have as many open houses as I could every weekend because it felt to me like retail real estate, the easiest way for me to find people with some version of intent, meaning they had some intent to do something, whether it was find out the value of their own home or potentially buy one. And then the other one was business to business networking. So, how do you identify who at an open house is actually a qualified buyer versus who is not? My goal at every open house was very simple, very, very simple. I didn't actually go to an open house and try to meet all the people. I just tried to meet one. I actually looked at an open house as an opportunity to find one single buyer per week because I knew that if I sold 52 houses in a year, that I would have a wildly successful year. I would make all the money that I needed to, and I would be able to provide for my family the life that I wanted to provide. So, how many of you guys would feel like 52 houses sold this year would meet most of your goals? Yeah, all of us, right? So to me, an open house wasn't about trying to catch all the fish. It was just trying to catch one fish. And so I would go to an open house, and the way that I would design and treat my open houses was extremely conversational and relationship building driven. I actually deferred away from most of the conversation about the house that I was in and made it my intention to learn as much as I could about the people who walked in to find the one person that I might be able to get into an important conversation with to connect beyond just the open house. And so the way that would often look is people would come into the open house and my conversations would start with something like, how was your drive in? What brought you in today? They were much more casual and definitely not about the house. If they had questions about the house, guess what? I never had ever handouts, paper, nothing, zero. Never had any of it. Why? Why would I not have a bunch of printouts and paper and signs and stuff at open houses? What would it?
Because then they'd have to come back to you for answers afterwards.
That's right. It would force them to engage with me in a way that went beyond the house. Okay. So this flies in the face of what most real estate agents feel is their job, which is, my job is to print out a bunch of stuff and hand a bunch of stuff out. And I just didn't buy that. To me, my job was to find the next relationship that could be valuable. And so at an open house, I would not bring a bunch of papers. I would very intentionally not. Remember, everything that you have to explain to people is nothing more than a script practiced and articulated well to give people a rational reason. So when somebody would say to me, Matt, do you have any printouts or any information about the property? My answer was, well, of course I do. Absolutely. But I don't print a lot of stuff out because I find that most of it gets wasted. And at the end of an open house, I'm throwing away reams of paper. But what I will do is I'll take your email address down right now and I'll have it emailed to you before the end of the open house. Would that work for you to have a digital copy? And they would say, why, of course. And then at that point, what am I getting? Their email. Or I would ask them for their cell phone number so I could text them later. So I would always use the opportunity to engage the relationship and just move it a little bit forward. That worked 90% of the time. There was always the one person that was like, I'm not giving you my email address. And guess what? Fine. Like you're just not the guy. You're just not the person I'm trying to meet today. I'm trying to meet one person, not all the people. You're just that one person that I'm not trying to meet today. So we'll be perfectly okay working on meeting the next person. Go ahead and look at the house. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have, follow-up questions, you can reach out to me or you can find another agent at another open house who will go through the rigmarole of trying to convince you that at some point you're going to have to give them an email address. So open houses were extremely effective as a method to get new customers. I would also tell you the other thing that worked really well at open houses is a script that I'm totally going to rip off from my friend Ben Kinney. Ben always said that there was this one script that he used at every open house, and as soon as I borrowed it, it worked every time. Whenever somebody would walk in the door, you would greet them, you would say, "Hey, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for coming in." I find that people come to open houses for one of two reasons. Either they live in the neighborhood or somewhere around here and they're interested in finding out what the value of homes are selling for, or they're actually in the market looking for a house. Which one are you? It gives them permission to not feel put off if they are somebody who just lives in the neighborhood but wants a value. Now, if they identify themselves as that, what did you just find?
A
Potential
seller.
potential seller, right? So you just use that introduction each time and then engage the person in a relationship-based conversation, and open houses can turn into a really, really productive opportunity for lead generation. Listen, those of you that have known me a long time, those of you that have been around our market center for a long time know that I did not spend a lot of time, getting into the office at 7 a.m. with a call list calling FSBOs and expireds. That was never my model. I wasn't a circle prospecting guy. I didn't hammer phones for hours and hours a day. Everything that we built and everything that we drive our team around is about building one-to-one relationships with people that we know, like, and trust, and then just using all the tools and resources at our disposal to go and engage a deeper, bigger relationship base. So we do that with consistency every day with focus, and that's and open houses couldn't be an easier way to do it. Those of you that are out there that are like, I don't like to cold call, I'm much better in person. Good. How many open houses did you do so far this year? Because there's been 13 weekends this year. And if the answer isn't 13, then you aren't taking your lead generation seriously. That's just the truth. Because there are lots of them. Pete, that's you. You're the guy better in person. Love it. Me too. I was better in person too. I mean, I didn't mind making calls, but it just wasn't my thing. So, is that helpful, Janine?
Yes, yes. And it's crazy, but last weekend there was someone who came in and they saw the sign. It was
Cool.
like, wow, right? So, of the people that I met last weekend, I see that what I'm going to do is create that relationship right there.
Yep, that's the one. You
Right.
you I think of open houses like fishing. Like you are fishing. There's a lot of fish in the water. you call it a successful fishing day if you catch one fish, right?
Right.
You're just there to make one key relationship to move the needle on one key relationship. Remember, and we all know this, and um, I want to flip. So I want to give you guys a little bit more. I want to empower you guys a little bit more around the open house conversation also, because if you have listings, it's also out there in the world that people say, I don't want any open houses if you have a listing. Anybody ever had a client say that? I just had one this weekend. I don't want any open houses. And you go, oh, okay. Why is that? Well, I know that open houses don't sell houses. And you go, that's actually, you're actually correct. The open house is not the vehicle that is going to sell the house. But can I tell you why an open house is an important part of the overall marketing strategy? And they'll say, yeah, okay, sure. You go, well, sometimes what happens is someone goes to see a property in a climate like this, they're under a lot of pressure to make a quick decision. And so they go see a property on a Thursday because the listing goes live at Thursday at noon. And then when they get in there, they have 35 minutes or 45 minutes to take a look around. They love the property. They go home and they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. They're right on the edge of making a spectacular offer, but they just need one more look. The problem is the property's booked, their agent can't get them back in, and an open house offers them an opportunity to come back a second time. Very frequently, our open houses are full of second time showings. Very, very frequently, we see people coming back for a second showing. Sometimes they bring their mom and dad along. Sometimes they bring their best friend. Sometimes they bring their buddy who's a contractor just to see if they can do to that kitchen what they thought they might be able to do. And it pushes people over the edge. So the key to having an open house is to understand that it's not about catching people the first time. It's about sometimes catching people the second time and giving them that extra push to make that offer that might be the winning offer. So we like to do as many open houses as we can because we want to improve the breadth and scope of marketing for our listings because the more demand that we create, the more likely we drive the prices up. Sounds good, right? Sound like I've said that before?
Yes.
Only about 50,000 times. So, thank you, Janine. Now, what else do
Yeah.
you think? What do you guys think about this conversation about open houses? What else can I offer you as far as guidance and insight into how to navigate the market right now? You came here
Well,
for something. Go ahead, shout it out.
I was going to say, John has a couple of questions in the chat. So he did ask typically what time you run your open houses. My question would also like follow-up question, does it matter? And then a few people do want to hear a little bit about building a team and that side of your journey as well.
Sure, love it. So let me take John's question on first. So, John, traditionally, when I started in the business in 2006, people only did open houses on Sundays. Sundays was the only day you ever saw any open house. You saw them either from 11 to 1 or you saw them from 12 to 2. No, apparently realtors couldn't work after 2 o'clock on a Sunday because there was no open houses after 2 o'clock. And apparently open houses on Saturday just would never, ever work. Nobody could ever possibly imagine doing an open house on a Saturday. So that's how it was here in Connecticut until I got the bright idea to start doing them on Saturdays. And then we just started driving open houses anytime we could get an agent to say, yes, I'll go sit in the open house because we actually believe that the marketing that we do gets the buyers to show up. So we run what we tell our sellers is we will do as many as 4 open houses a weekend on your opening weekend. So when we list your property during a week, we will try to get as many as 4 open houses the first weekend that we're open. Ideally, we'll do an open house from 10 to 12. We'll take a 1 hour break. We'll do an open house from 1 to 3 on Saturday and Sunday. And if we can do that, that would be 4 different agents in the property at 4 different time slots, which gives a potential buyer a lot of opportunity to get into the property. Does it matter? For sure, the afternoon sessions will get a little more traffic, but you definitely catch in the morning. You're going to catch people that are running out for their morning coffee and then popping by an open house around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So, it's in the climate that all of us are in here in New England, where it's low inventory and, every house that comes on the market is a hot property. You're going to fill your open houses if you just market them properly. Which, by the way, should not be some exhaustive, crazy, outlandish plan. Marketing means make sure that you have the open houses listed in your MLS early enough so that they aggregate out to the search engines. Make sure that you have some version of a social media presence so that you can push the open houses out through your team or through your market center. Um, One thing that I think is massively underutilized, including on our team, we just do not take advantage of it, is use your market center as a leverage point to market your open houses. Every agent that's in your market center has an incentive to promote your open house to get their clients to potentially go there. So every agent on in your market center has an audience that follows them on Facebook or Instagram. There should be a vehicle for absolutely, pushing your open houses through that. Um, it will absolutely increase your traffic. It may not increase your traffic of potential buyers, but it will increase your audience for sure. Is that helpful, John?
Yes, Matt, thank you. Hey, I got a follow-up question to that. So my thought when you don't bring the paperwork is oftentimes potential sellers down the road are interviewing you at the open house. So by not having the paperwork, my mind jumps to, hey, this agent isn't prepared. They didn't bring enough paperwork. How do you overcome that in your mind?
Yeah.
Or
So anybody that's hiring me for paperwork is definitely hiring the wrong agent. So like I'm with you, and I made a decision early in my career, and this one's massively contradictory, this one's always creates conflict in real estate audiences. Always, I've been in the conflict of this conversation for a long time. Um, I don't bring papers to a listing presentation. Zero. I do not walk in with a single piece of printed material. Okay, everybody breathe. You guys okay? Okay, yeah, nothing. I walk in with nothing. Now, people wonder, how the hell do you get listings without a bunch of papers? It's because credibility for me is not about printed material. Credibility for me is about how effective I am at presenting my value proposition. And so you're not wrong, John, that sometimes there's a seller that when I show up and don't have printed material, they go, this guy's not for me, no printed material. I just made a decision early in my career that my style and my presentation model was not going to be about that, and that those people that needed that were probably not going to be my client. And then that meant that what that means for many of you, the reason that that terrifies you is because you're still trying to make your value proposition available to every single buyer. You're still operating from a scarcity mindset, which says, or every seller, which says, hey, if I get a seller opportunity, I have to adapt my model to fit whoever the seller is. I took a different approach. I said, I know that there's enough people out there that will follow my model and that will trust what I do because I believe what we do is exceptional. And I know that there's enough of them out there. My job is to go find the ones that are on board, not for me to adjust the way I present to fit everybody's needs. So for sure, I don't win every listing because there are people who need a glossy presentation model. Like they need a presentation, they want a book, they want a binder, they want all that stuff. Of course, when people ask me about it, I have a pretty articulate reason why I don't do that. And I've won just as many listings as I've lost, actually probably quite a few more by not having printed material. So if somebody comes to an open house and they're looking for printed material, they might say, this isn't the agent for us. He didn't even have any papers. That's perfectly fine. They can go work with the paper printing agent. That's just how I look at it.
thank you, Matt. And does that adjust or change with luxury listings, higher end properties? What do you do
We're
there?
not allowed to sell luxury listings in our area. So we've um, short answer, it's not a huge part of our business. We do sell a fair amount. And for sure, our marketing, improves when we add more value through some of the marketing because, of course, we're getting paid significantly more, but not a lot. The short answer is just because it's a luxury listing doesn't mean that the people buying it are more inclined to look at paper. Frankly, I think I personally, it's a personality thing. Like, I don't want anyone handing me paper. Like, if you guys ever see me and try to hand me a business card, I'm going to decline. I'm going to be like, no, thank you. Like, please don't give me anything in paper. Don't, I go to meetings with people or a financial planner and they want to hand me a folder full of stuff. And I'm like, no, thank you. Anything that you can give me digitally, and it's far safer that way. It is not going to be something that I'm not going to treasure it. I'm not going to file it. Like, and I think more and more people are moving in that direction. So it's actually way less of an issue than it used to be. I used to encounter that objection a lot. I rarely ever do now. Now, again, you've got to have confidence in your value proposition and the way you present, which is which, you know, this actually is a good segue into sort of how a team operates and how we operate. If you don't have abundant clarity about what your value proposition is and how you present, and you've practiced it and you know exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to say it, you're going to feel uncomfortable if you don't have something to present. The short story, just so you guys can sort of figure out, you know, understand how I landed there. Early in my career, when I was really hustling as a solo agent every day, you know, my goal was to have one appointment a day. So I woke up every day with the goal to set an appointment the following day, whether it was a listing appointment or a buyer consult. The only thing that I knew was important was, am I meeting with somebody that I can deliver my value proposition to so that I can give them the opportunity to say yes, no, or not right now. That's all I was looking for every day. I just wanted somebody that would sit down for 30 to 45 minutes and hear what I had to say, and then they would be able to say yes, no, or not right now. Well, I got really good at that. I got really good at finding opportunities and finding people that would meet with me. So once I got good at setting appointments, what I realized was my process of creating glossy bound printed presentations that were customized to every person that I met with was a huge time suck and a super low return on investment, because every time I was going on a listing appointment, I print out this, you know, 30-page, very, very customized, you know, presentation. I was spending an hour or two working on a presentation as opposed to going and finding the next appointment. So what I realized was if I was just good enough at setting appointments, I didn't actually need the presentation. So I took, you know, on a leap of faith one day when I was hyper stressed and had too many appointments and I didn't have the time to make the presentation, I went without it. And I basically did the exact same presentation without the paper. I walked it through the process of what we call the 5-step consult, which is what our team follows. And it's just 5 very specific steps that we follow that takes a client from the beginning, delivers our value proposition, and gets them right to the end where they're given the opportunity to say, yes, you're hired, no, you're not, or not right now, which is all we're ever after. So once I practiced it and I got really good at it, then I realized, oh, this is something I could actually teach. Enter the era of a team. If you have designs or an idea that you want to build a team, I think where the thing that differentiates the teams that are winning awards at, you know, the New England regional masterminds versus the teams that aren't is that there's something what we call a playbook, similar to the idea of working open houses with a very specific strategy. We run a very specific playbook. The playbook's not for everybody, but similar to a sports team, whether it's basketball or football. I mean, UConn just won their 12th national championship, the winningest basketball program in the history of college basketball. How is it that they do that with a brand new set of players every single year, literally every year? They're going to graduate. How many seniors did we say they're going to graduate this year? Three of their starting seniors are going to graduate this year. And yet next year, UConn will be in contention. How do they do that? It's a program. It's a system. And their system is a model that every player that plays in that system learns. So when we started the team, when I leaned into it, I said, okay, I've got mastery over how I present my value proposition. I know what I do. I've got to now chunk this down to be something that other people can learn. And then if they learn it and can do it as well as I can, then they should be able to get the same results. Lo and behold, 15 years later, we've proven that to be true. That we can teach somebody how to present, what to say, how to say it, how to go into a listing appointment with no printed materials and still walk out with a listing agreement. We can teach them how to do it. So if it's teachable, then you have a system, then you have a program, and then you have the makings of what can become a team, because it's something that you can bring new people to and show them. I think that's the most important thing that teams can do.
Matt, where were you in your career when you decided to start your team building journey? And then, yeah, and then tell us a little bit about what the biggest mistake you would say, like in the years that you ran a team, and how
Okay.
does that contribute also to your wealth building journey, aside from just like
Phenomenal
obviously the
question.
money that is produced
Yeah.
from having a team?
Awesome question. So the day I decided to start a team was the day that my most important client called me in the morning at like 10 a.m. and left me a message that he wanted me to call him back. At the time, you guys will laugh at this. It was my most important client because it was the highest price point listing I'd ever gotten at $350,000. I was so psyched. I was like, dude, I'm gonna make so much money. I can't wait. So it was a $350,000 listing. This was in the days of short sales. Okay. This was the days of 2007, 2008. It was rough out there. Um, but getting that listing was really important to me. He was a young guy, his wife, he was an attorney. He was a super high D personality, very driven, very direct, needed results right away. He called me at 10 in the morning. I had a super busy day, showings all day, just crushed all day. And I wasn't able to call him back quickly. And by 4 o'clock, he had called me. This was actually, I would say this was like pre-texting. It was like probably texting was a thing, but we weren't texting very much. Like there wasn't a lot of text messaging going on, right? Because if there was, I would have responded with a text, "Hey, I'm busy today." But that was just not a thing at that time. And so he caught by 4 o'clock that day, he called, and the second message that I got was, Matt, this isn't working for me. You're too busy. I called you at 10. You haven't gotten back to me yet. And I think we're going to have to move on. So, of course, that was panic for me because this was my most important listing. This was a person I really liked, I wanted to work for. And I felt like I was totally failing. Like, now, at the end of the day, very unrealistic expectations, but also lesson learned in how to set expectations for people, which now I do exceptionally well, but back then I didn't, right? So the day went by, 6 hours went by, and he felt like he was being blown off. That moment for me was a recognition that number one, I'm still not making the money I need to make. I'm as stressed and working as hard as I could possibly work. There's no more time in the day for me to go make more money. And I'm letting my clients down. So now customer service has degraded. I don't have any more time in the day to get better at this job. And I'm going to need some help. So the team decision happened literally in that moment. I remember it. I remember driving in the parking garage, listening to his message, and me saying, I need fucking help. Like that was really the prompt was I need some help. I don't know what to do and I don't know what that looks like, but I need help. And so what I will tell you is that it was not a decision that went like, I know I'll build a giant team and sell 500 houses a year. It was literally, I need a few hours a day to do my job better. That was what the first decision was, just something about somewhere along the line. I'm good at the appointment setting thing, but there's a lot of other stuff that's just not happening the way it should. And I feel like I need to solve that. So that was the first decision. I was when I hired my first assistant. Like a lot of people, the mistake that I made, the initial mistake that I made was I went in the office like right after parking the car and basically looked around and saw an agent sitting there that didn't have anything to do. And I was like, "Hey, you want to be my assistant?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'll be your assistant." And like, that's a terrible idea. Don't hire that way. It didn't work. Needless to say, we were in business for about 3 weeks before she was like, "This sucks." I was like, "Yeah, no shit. That's why I don't want to do it." Anyway, didn't work out. So then I learned, there's actually a process to hiring people that, and so I went through that process of learning, oh, I have to hire people properly for the role. And then if you get the right person for the role, they actually expand the amount of time that you have. Um, and that's a whole other like journey. The second part of your question was that you asked, when did I start it? And then you also asked, what was the biggest mistake that I made? This one isn't really about team building. The biggest mistake that I made is I leapt to team building too soon. Meaning, if I could reverse back to 2009 or 10 when that incident happened, I would have put way more effort into hiring exceptionally talented administrators, and I would have sold personally solo for longer before bringing buyer's agents to the team. To me, the minute that an admin showed up, it felt like I got extra space. And then suddenly people said, "Hey, I want to do what you do too, Matt." And so other agents in the office, because I wasn't recruiting. Like we weren't looking. Other agents just said like, you seem like you're killing it. How do I do what you do? And it seemed super easy to just take a buyer's agent and make them work with my buyers. That was a huge mistake because it slowed down the biggest thing, and this is the best segue into wealth building. The biggest thing that it slowed down was my ability to make money. Because your highest value per hour activity is still selling a house. Mine too. This is such a gift of an industry. You guys realize how well compensated we are for what we do, that it is bananas that people are not clamoring to do more of it. The idea that we struggle with lead generation is outrageous. Thinking that of how much actual money you can make by going and getting a new client, and then what that money can do for you insofar as affecting your life and freedom, which is what is motivating to me, is life and freedom. I'm not really money motivated. I like my time and I like to do what I want when I want. But the one thing that I figured out was that if I didn't have enough money, I would always be underneath having to do something else before I could go do what I want when I want. So if I made enough money, then it opened all kinds of freedom doors for me. Now, the thing about understanding that team building is expensive. It's very, very, very expensive because not because it costs money. So like people will sit down and do an Excel spreadsheet and say, well, it doesn't seem that expensive. It's a CRM. It's this. It's leads. It's not that doesn't seem. The price is not the cost of the stuff. The price is that you don't know anything. You've never done it. And so your cost is how long is it going to take you to learn all the things you need to learn? And what is the opportunity cost that's at risk when you do that? If I could reverse engineer, I would go back and I would not have brought a buyer's agent on for like the first 2 years of having a really strong admin team because they would have come on to, like I was mentioning earlier to John, they would have come on to a way better system that was really dialed in that would have helped them go faster to make money faster because we would have spent more time working on how we do it. Instead, we were trying to do it all at the same time. That's right. Build the foundation first. We were trying to do it all at the same time. We were trying to build a system and hire agents to a half-built system. It's like moving people into an unfinished house, right? So how complicated would it be for a builder building a house, but the toilets aren't in yet? And then the homeowner moves in and is like, so where do I go to the bathroom? It's like, well, for now, just pee in the woods. But we're gonna have a bathroom one of these days. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. That was a lot of what the early years of the team building felt like. It still feels like that some days, but we're much better now. The truth is that I would have just sold myself first. Yeah, poor Bennett. Yeah, exactly. I would have just sold myself for longer. I would have focused on, I would have put myself in a position to go sell 100 homes solo. Um, just do 100 deals a year as a solo agent with 2 or 3 super adept administrators who do nothing but support my mission to go on more appointments and close more deals. If that became my only job, selling 100 houses would be easy, right? If you had 3 exceptionally talented people working behind you, preparing CMAs, doing all the communication with your client, setting up your appointments, confirming your appointments, delivering, putting the listings live, scheduling everything, doing all your marketing, and all you had to do is go out and go on appointments and get contracts signed, you would make a lot more money. And sure, you'd have to sign on for 3 salaries and 3 admins, and they would be highly talented admins. And, you'd probably have to be, willing to pay them between 70 and $100,000 a year. But if you sold 100 houses, you'd be doing, close to $3 million in GCI. Thoughts on that? How many of you guys are in a team building process right now? John, yeah? Anybody else ever made an effort to jump into team building? I'll tell you that the Lindsay, sure. The thing is that if you really think about what this business can do for you from the standpoint, again, thinking in terms of abundance, realize that if you don't You have to fall in love with the process of serving the client. Okay. If you're not in love with that and totally enamored with the idea that doing this over and over and over and over again will create massive abundance in your life, then you're definitely going to struggle. You cannot begrudgingly get yourself to a high level of success. This is one of the things that I see in our industry as a plague. It's a disease. It's the negative talk that's out there. The market sucks. This business is annoying. Agents are stupid. I hate co-brokes. All you have to do is go on any social media platform that's a realtor platform, and what you see is this tornado of negativity, of people who hate their job. I do not hate my job. I am so grateful for what I do because a guy like me being in the position that I'm in, there's very few other outlets where this would have worked out. I am 100% unemployable. I would have been fired from every job that I would ever get. There's no question. I can't generally show up on time to stuff. I don't dress the same way every day. I'm a little bit chaotic in the way that I bring my energy. Like I have some unique skills that are really good ones, but like they don't typically fit in the box, right? So if I showed up to some insurance company as a sales guy, there's a high probability that the sales manager, whoever my boss is annoyed by me, not inspired. But this business gives you the opportunity to go create the world you want to create. And I think you got to fall in love with it. You have to really, really love it. And I also believe that that is exactly why 15% of the agents out there do 90% of the business, because those 15% love waking up and doing the job. I think that's the biggest differentiator. I think the other group are questioning whether there's something better. Should I try something else? Is there something else I should do? And if that's you, it's totally okay. Don't feel like I'm confronting you. I'm not. I'm just saying, figure out what parts of this business you love. Because if you're always in the process of seesawing between should I keep doing this or should I not do this, you're not going to wind up being wildly successful. You have to wake up obsessed with crushing this, obsessed with it. Dan, your hands up. Thanks, buddy. What are you thinking?
I thought your comment around building out like building out a solo business as a team. I saw a lot of similarities with that as actually like the leverage that you get when joining a team.
Yeah, that's right.
And being a TL for 5 years, in Ridgefield, I felt like there were a lot of people that were so held up by the idea of like giving a huge amount of money or a big percentage of their commissions to a team.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I would rather give 50% of my commissions to a team than have to go build out a $300,000 salary base in
Well,
order to
you're
operate at the same
again,
level.
what you're
Or
doing. Yeah, I love this line of questioning, and obviously I'm super passionate about it. So for those of you that are building a team, here's what you really need to get your head around from a value proposition standpoint to agents. And for those of you that have never considered what the team value proposition is, or if you saw it the same way that Dan did, like, hey, it's just too much money. Here's the first thing I'm going to tell you. The probability is that for many agents, the team will be the most money you'll ever make, because even if you're on a 50-50 split with the team lead, you net 50% of the check the day you close. None of you are netting 50% of the check the day you close, because I've seen thousands of P&Ls. Many of you guys know that Matt Erdman and I founded a profit and loss company called RE Profit. We looked at thousands and thousands of P&Ls over the years, and nobody, even MREA, says that the most successful solo agent businesses are net profiting 40%. The thing about joining a team is if it's a true value proposition where all the expenses are carried by the team lead, and your only job is to wake up every day and go sign contracts, set appointments, and sign agreements, you have no marketing expenses, you have nothing else that you need to spend money on. You literally net more money the day you close, as opposed to spending all the money along the way. And then you add that additional layer of what Dan was talking about, the opportunity cost of by the way, you're not going to magically land on a perfect P&L the first time you try this. You're going to screw it up a lot. You're going to overspend, you're going to scale. I'm still doing it. We still live in this world where I have to review my P&L every single month and make decisions about, okay, we spent this and it's not doing what we need. We need to cut that. We have to add this. We're always in this process of leveling out. Is production equal to our expenses? Are we outpacing or are we behind? And so your lessons learned, it takes years and years and years to learn even just how to do that. So the entire concept behind a high functioning team, and I say this because I know that there is a vast disparity between high functioning teams and non-high functioning teams. But the entire concept between a high functioning team is that an agent should be able to show up and do the sales job. Think of it that way, that your job is everything else. So when I put my success team in a room and I ask them, what's your job? They say everything else. Everything else means anything that's not sign an agreement, sell a house, put it under contract, or set an appointment. That's the only thing the agent's supposed to do. Now, does every agent on my team only do that? No, because they still love the idea of printing materials, and agents are, we're a rare breed. They still love the idea of getting their nose in stuff that they don't need to. But the real effective team is saying, do these things exceptionally well every day and let somebody else take care of everything else. The customer experience, by the way, is better. And I always say that to people because there's this other there's other rhetoric out there that's like, well, nobody can take care of my customer as good as I can. And I always say, well, nobody can take care of your customers the way you do because you are you. But the customer doesn't actually care about that. That's just a shot to most of our egos. The customer wants an exceptional experience from start to finish. They don't know the difference until they have it. And I always say, like, you can go look at our Google reviews, and we have, I don't know, 400 or 500 five-star Google reviews. And that's through a team experience. So for sure, customers can have a fantastic experience working with a team. How does that work? It works because they're getting what they expect. You're setting good expectations, you're providing value along the way. So I appreciate that comment, Dan. For those of you who don't know Dan was the team leader in Ridgefield, Connecticut for 6 years. Is that right? 6 years. And then recently we partnered up and are expanding our footprint throughout Connecticut. So what are you guys thinking about? What are you thinking about as we dive into this dialogue? Very thought-provoking stuff.
I had put a
Well,
comment in the chat just about hearing more about your like wealth building journey. Just because I know it's been a lot of different things over the years.
Sure.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a
So
conversation you and I haven't really had.
how many of you guys got into real estate because you wanted to invest? Yeah, that's an extremely common entry point into getting a real estate license. We see it a lot with agents that are coming to the team, that their primary purpose is, hey, I'm getting into real estate, but my real goal is to buy multifamily or get into flipping, or I want to invest. I think I have landed the plane on, like, conceptually, I think the process behind this. And I think that what a lot of people screw up is they're trying to shortcut wealth building, meaning a lot of people that get into the industry think that acquisition equals wealth building. And I am living proof that it doesn't. In 2008, in May, I closed on 24 apartments for the low price of $1.4 million. By January of 2009, a short 7 months later, they were worth about 70% of what I had paid for them. By January of 2010, they were worth about 50% of what I had paid for them. And I watched very quickly how all the wealth that I had accumulated in the first 30 years of my life went in reverse very, very rapidly. Acquisition is not wealth building. Wealth building starts with accumulation of assets that can pay for themselves and generate income for you. And so a lot of people that are in the sort of early phase of wealth building think that, hey, if I can go buy something, that's going to make me wealthy. My advice to people is always this. The first step on the ladder, the first rung on the ladder to wealth building is income. Income is the entry point because your wealth does not pay for your life for decades. Meaning, if you are really in a wealth building game, you have to buy enough and invest enough so that at some point, unless you get lucky, some people get lucky, but you have to do enough for a long enough period of time that eventually your wealth accumulation and your wealth generation takes over your income. And many of us are just not patient enough. We want to shortcut it. And so what we do is we stop earning. We spend our time. Dan and I had a conversation about this last night, literally about solving small problems versus big problems. The fact is that everybody here has the same real estate license somewhere in the state of somewhere in the region of New England, meaning you can go out today and you can go find a seller or a buyer that has intent to buy or sell. And you can probably turn that relationship within the next 6 months or a year into between $10,000 and $20,000 cash in your pocket. There is almost no wealth building opportunity anywhere that will create $10,000 to $20,000 for you that won't also cost you $100,000 to $200,000. And so your first step is have enough income, not to just pay your bills, but to then go also buy those other things. Because listen, if you showed me a path to go make $10,000 or $20,000 that I could just do without any investment, I'd do that all day long, wouldn't you? If you had a machine in front of you that you could put $1 in and $10 came out, you would go find as many $1 bills as you possibly could and just keep shoving them in there so $10 would come out. The fact is that there is no $1 to $10 machine. There are machines that are 100,000 to 10,000, but they go that way. Most of us from a wealth building standpoint we're trying to jump to the end of the line. And what we're forgetting is that the thing you should spend the most time on is selling houses. The more houses you sell, the more money you accumulate, then you have the opportunity to take that money and go do something with it that can then create additional wealth. But many of us are just barely making it from a sales standpoint. That's the biggest thing that I see agents screw up is that as soon as they have a good year, they immediately jump to like, cool, I did that. I sold 30 houses last year. I did that. I'm never going to sell less than this. And so then they match their lifestyle to 30 houses a year. They get a new car, buy a new house. They start spending as if that's their regular income. And then the next year they sell 20. Now the difference between 30 houses and 20 houses is like negligible. That could happen in a blip. Anybody can go from 30 to 20. You can go from 30 to 40. Well, a lot of agents think like, I had a great year. I must have done something great. I'm a superhero. I sold 30 houses. Like, no, a couple things worked out really well for you to do 30. And next year could be 20, right? And then the following year could be 40. But like that variable is far more likely to hit you from external forces than it is from your own activity. And so your wealth building journey has to start with, what we commonly refer to as dry powder. You have to have a stockpile of cash. And by the way, it's also the price of entry to get in the best opportunities. Like if you really want to invest, I often make the analogy that like most of us are investing the way I play softball. Okay. And Cassie knows how I play softball. It's not so great. I play on a middle-aged man softball league. Okay. We are far from exceptional athletes. We have a great time. We go out, we win some, we lose some, we win a little more than we lose. We've been playing for 15 years, but we're not playing in the major leagues, right? Not even close. But it's kind of like a hobby. And most of us are investing that way versus just train long enough to play at the major leagues. If you have enough money, which by the way, call it 100,000, 200,000, it opens the door to the different level conversations. You know those big developments that are going up around you? The difference between the stuff that you're investing in and that stuff is just how much money they have to put in it and the investors that participate. That's all. The only difference is they have more money to invest. And I'm telling you, you have a job. Every one of you, you have a job that can put you in that room. You have knowledge, you have resources, and you have the capacity to go earn a tremendous amount of money if you focus on it. So you can either invest like a, middle-aged men's softball team, or you can invest like a major leaguer. Which one do you want to play? I've just figured out like I don't want to play small ball anymore. I want to go invest at the higher level. I'd rather be a 10% owner of $1 billion company than a 100% owner of $1 million company. It's just a bigger stake. It's a bigger stake of the game. It requires growth and focus. And in order to get in that room, they don't invite people in that don't have any money, right? You gotta have the money first. So what's the answer to that? For every one of us, it's go sign more agreements, put more houses under contract, and set more appointments. That's your path. And are there enough? Lindsay, you know how many houses will sell in Connecticut this year? Rough idea? Put you on the spot. We're thinking probably 60,000. We think there'll be about 60,000 houses that will sell in Connecticut. Even if I'm wrong and it's a whole 10,000 less and it's 50,000, that means there's 100,000 at bats in the state of Connecticut with a Connecticut license. That means that there's 100,000 opportunities to sit in front of somebody, deliver your value proposition, and give them the opportunity to say yes, no, or not right now. It's more than enough. I only need personally 30 or 40 of them in order to live a really great life. I don't need 100,000. 30 or 40 of those people say yes, and I'm in great shape. What are you thinking? What are you guys thinking? I've just stunned you all.
It's like we're either really inspired right now to go sell more houses, or we are
Asleep.
second guessing our careers. No.
By the way, that is an impact that I have on a lot of people. Is I'm very well known for scaring people out of the business.
We have about 5 more minutes, so we have time for probably 1, maybe 2 more questions. Who has a question for Matt with our last 5 minutes?
Happy to, this is an ask me anything moment. I'm an open book. So what do you want to know? It's that much.
All right, I will go ahead and ask the infamous Matt Erdman question. Let's see if I can get this right, because it's lengthy and the way his brain works sometimes is something else as well. But so if you're dropped in a brand new place, you've never been there, you don't know anybody, the only resources you have with you are your experience and all the lessons that you've learned along the way. What do you do day one?
Oh, I love this question. All right, so my business was built on two key things that I did. One was open houses. So I would stand in anyone's listing and I would meet people. The other one was business to business networking. Now, if you drop me in any town, USA, and gave me one objective, which is to build a real estate business, the very first thing that I'm doing is B2B networking. And I'm going to give you guys a gift today. This is a never fail script that will give you something to do every single day. And this is exactly what I would do. I would go meet some homeowner somewhere. That would be the first thing I would do. You got to find somebody that owns a house. And that could be a person that works at a grocery store. That could be a person that's at a bar. It doesn't matter. You find a homeowner. Now, what I like to do is call my sphere here. Now, if I'm in a place where I have no sphere, I'm going to have to go meet somebody who's a homeowner. And I would call them, or I would have a conversation with them, and I would ask them, hey, you own a house. I'm super curious. I am working on building out a vendor referral database. I want to make sure that the people who work with me only get to work with the best of the best, and that when they have a need, they remember that they should call me. Have you had any work done at your house, or have you had any services provided where you were exceptionally happy with the outcome of the project. Now, it doesn't have to be work that's been done at your house. It could be maybe you hired an attorney that did a will or estate planning for you. Maybe you had, a CPA that did a great job. But do you have anybody in your database that you think is awesome that fits the description of providing great service to their customers? Now, here's why I love this question, because everybody immediately goes into what starts happening when you ask them that question. They start thinking about who do they know. The other thing is people love to be helpful, love to be helpful. Okay. And so the first thing they're going to do is they're going to say, you know what? I think I do know somebody. And they most likely are going to give you the name of somebody. You know what, Matt? We just had our driveway done and those guys were amazing. They finished it. It was clean. They did not, we had our roof done, whatever. And so they give you the name of the person. Now, two things happened in that very short call. One is that you told the person that you were in real estate and that you only want to work with people who provide excellent service. So you told the person by asking a question that you are somebody who values quality and values a high level of service. You also told them that you are a resource for anything that they might possibly need because you're building the best vendor database that's available. Now, they then are going to say, you know what, Matt, I worked with this roofer. They did an amazing job. They put this roof on. We were super happy with the service. We thought it was affordable and we thought it was great. At that point, I would say, awesome. Would it be okay? Would you mind connecting me with them? I will make sure to let them know how awesome, how happy you were. And if you could connect me with them, I'll let them know how happy you were. And then we'll make sure that if there's anything that you need at any point in time, you know that you can always call me. That sounds great, Matt. Really appreciate it. So then they connect you with the roofer. Now you've got a second point of contact because now I can call the roofer and I can say, hey, is this Bob? Yeah, this is Bob. What's up? Hey, Bob, you did a roof for John. And John told me how happy he was with the job that you did. I just want to introduce myself to you. My name's Matt. I'm a local real estate professional. I'm currently working on building out a database of the best vendors in town. And based on the fact that John recommended you, I wanted to know if you'd be open for me to include your name whenever somebody asks for a roofer. Would you be okay if I sent my clients to you? What do you think the roofer's going to say? They say one of two things. They say, absolutely, that sounds awesome. Or they say, how much? Right. And I always go, no, this is just a value that I provide to my clients because I want to make sure that my clients, when they ask me for a roofer, that they get somebody that's going to take great care of them. That's the only thing I need from you, Bob, is to make sure that when you provide a roof to one of my clients, that they get awesome service. Is that something that you're okay with? Absolutely. Yeah. Referrals are always awesome. Cool. That's great. Before I let you go, do you currently work with any other realtors in town? Well, no, I don't. Awesome. Here's what I would ask in return. If anybody ever comes around that you know of that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, would you mind keeping my information handy and referring them to me? And they always say, no, that sounds great. It doesn't happen that often. It's like, no, probably not, but keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. And if anything happens, that would be awesome. Then your job is go find that guy a roof. The beauty of it is, that the minute you give that guy a roof, he is your client for life. That's right, Devin. They feel like they owe you one. You then don't have to sell real estate ever again. You could sell roofs or solar or driveways. You could sell whatever's in your repertoire that someone needs at that moment in time. And you don't actually even have to sell it. You just have to refer the person that does it. And then you build an army of people that will wake up every day and try to go serve your business because you've been serving theirs. That's the model that I would follow. And I think that model could get legs really fast in any market, even if you've never been there. Good question, Cassie. Thank you.
Giving Matt Erdman that credit today, but Matt, thank you for all the information that you provided all of us today. It has been outstanding. So thank you all for joining us as well. Come off mute, give Matt a big thanks, and thank you for joining us today. We'll see
You know
you
what
in a
you
couple
guys
of
could do
weeks.
for me, which would be super great? Could you go on Instagram and do a follow? It's Miali Matthew on Instagram. And just go do that for me. That would be awesome. Working on doing that social media thing. You could follow me on MySpace too, but I don't remember my login. So I'm not sure how to get into that. Just kidding.
Awesome. Go give Matt a follow. Make that call today to a homeowner and ask them for a referral of a business partner that they just had on there.
That's it. Thank you. Thanks,
Awesome. Have a
everybody.
great day, everyone.
Thanks,
Care.
Matt.
Thanks,
Bye.
Matt.